here in Semyonovskaya Square in St. Petersburg. And this is the place where many of the Narodnaya Volya terrorists met their end, because this is where they set up the scaffold to hang them.
And when Alexander came to the throne in 1856, he actually did away with the death penalty, and there wasn't any death penalty for some time in Russia. But in 1866, when the first assassination attempt happened from Karakazov, he was executed here in Semyonovskaya Square. After the assassination of Alexander, what happened was that Zhalabov, who of course had already been arrested prior, did not want Nikolai Ryzhikov to be hanged alone for participating in the offense. So he actually went to the jailers and said, "You don't know who was responsible for this. We were responsible for this." And he actually told them that he was one of the leaders of Narodnaya Volya and that the assassination had been done by Narodnaya Volya, thus claiming the credit, as it were, for the assassination. As for Sofia Perovskaya, she of course was not captured on the day of the assassination, and for a period of a little over a week she continued to be at large here in St. Petersburg. She could not go back to her apartment because that had been actually captured by the authorities, who found out about it from Ryzhikov. However, she went from one terrorist safe house to another, never staying more than one night. But those who observed her during that time said she was acting, number one, as if she was very sick, and number two, she was almost irrational, almost overcome with grief about Andrei Zhalabov being in jail and almost certainly going to be executed. She learned from some of her family sources that he had confessed to the crime, and she was frantic with trying to come up with a way to free him.
And it was while she was in a state of indecision, almost irrationality, that while riding on a streetcar on Nevsky Prospect in St. Petersburg, not far from the Anichkov Palace, Sofia was arrested. She was taken to the House of Preliminary Detention, where her lover, Andrei Zhalabov, was already in custody. They would be put on trial together with 4 other Narodnaya Volya terrorists. All 6 of them were sentenced to death by hanging. The only one that wasn't actually hanged was Jessia Helfman, who was discovered to be pregnant, and her sentence was commuted.
But the other 5 were brought here in enormous carts, 12 feet high off the ground, so that the people could line the streets and see the prisoners as they were being brought to their end here at Semyonovskaya Square. And in fact, at approximately 9 in the morning on April 3rd, 1881, the old style, which was a month and 2 days after the assassination, 5 of the terrorists met their end on a scaffold that was set up here in Semyonovskaya Square.
It was reported that, until the end, Sofia was very calm. She kissed Zhalabov goodbye. She kissed Kabalchich and the others, except for Ryzhikov, who had cracked under interrogation and had spilled all of his guts to the interrogators. She shunned him on the scaffold. When she was hanged, Sofia lost consciousness immediately. After her went Zhalabov, and finally, the last of the terrorists to be hanged that day was Ryzhikov, who was reported to be crying and trying to hang on to the stool before they kicked it out from under him.
And thus ended, really, the sway of Narodnaya Volya here in St. Petersburg. It would continue to be something that was feared, but no longer was it capable of any significant operations.